Smith.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the honourable member for his speech. And, you know, I was really disappointed with this bill. There were lots of flaws in it, I agree, and we worked really hard to fix it. I put forward 27 amendments myself, and there's some of them, you know, from the Canadian Media Producers Association that I was not able to even speak to in the committee process. And instead, you know, I agree with the honourable member that there has been a lot of bamboozle around this debate. You know, I've heard in the House of Commons talk about the movie Canadian Bacon, and is that Canadian content because of the word Canadian in it? And John Candy is acting in it, and another great actor, by the way, Adrian Hough, is Canadian. But that's a movie that's produced by an American company owned by Michael Moore, who wrote the movie, who directed the movie. It's got Alan Alda and a whole bunch of other Americans in it. And this discussion about Canadian content and what constitutes Canadian content, the Conservatives don't even seem to understand. They don't seem to understand that CBC News is not about Canadian content, it's about news. So when they use CNN as a source, that's not about Canadian content, that's about news content. And would the honourable member not agree that there has just been a lot of misinformation and misleading the Canadian public about what Canadian content really is?
Member for Kingston and the Islands.
Absolutely, I would agree with that. The Conservatives have been banking on the fact that people are going to consume small tidbits of information, and they're going to consume the fact that Liberals are trying to limit free speech. They're going to try to link it to some other things that they have. They believe that their base has preconceived notions about Liberals, and then they're going to package it all up and advance. But I mean, like, that's great campaigning, and that's great. I mean, it's a great form of campaigning, whether or not you agree with it, but it's certainly not what we're supposed to be doing in this House. It's certainly not what we're supposed to be doing at committee. We're supposed to be actually trying to improve the legislation. So this goes back to my point earlier, Mr. Speaker. I admire this member. I admire, just look at the questions that I was asked tonight on this. I got a real question from the NDP, a real question from the Bloc, a real question from this Green member, and what did I get from the Conservatives? That right there should show you that they're passionate about the issue, whereas Conservatives are only passionate about political gain.
Questions